He is fast asleep beside you, back pressed against your leg, one paw twitching, and somewhere in that stillness, his whole body lets out a long, slow exhale, the kind that only comes when something in him has fully let go. You have probably seen this exact moment and called it nothing more than a nap, but that quiet sigh, the one most owners walk right past without a second thought, is one of the clearest signals your dog can give you, and almost nobody knows how to read it. Most people believe they already know what love looks like on a dog: the tail wagging at the door, the licking, the excited spinning when you grab the leash. These are the behaviors every dog video, every meme, every casual conversation points to as proof of devotion. And they are not wrong exactly, but here is the surprising part. Many of the behaviors owners treat as the biggest signs of love are actually driven by something else entirely: excitement, anticipation, even simple habit. The tail wag at the door often has more to do with the promise of a walk than the person holding the leash. Meanwhile, the behaviors that actually reveal deep, specific attachment are quieter, rarer, and almost always overlooked because they do not look dramatic enough to notice. That deep sigh beside you is the first one, and it is not random. Veterinary behaviorists have long used a dog's breathing pattern as a window into his nervous system, because a long exhale like that only happens when the body's parasympathetic system, the part responsible for rest and safety, has fully taken over. A dog cannot fake that sigh. It only appears when he has decided, on some level below conscious thought, that nothing needs to be watched right now, because you are watching instead. You have probably felt your dog lean his full weight against your leg at some point. Not the quick bump of a dog asking for attention, but a slow, settling lean, where he stops holding himself up at all. That lean is doing something almost identical to the sigh. He is transferring his own sense of balance and safety onto you, physically trusting you to hold part of his weight, which is a strange thing to do around something you are not certain is safe. But there is something even more important than the leaning, something that happens in his eyes specifically, and researchers only confirmed it a few years ago. A study published in the journal Science found that when dogs and their owners gazed into each other's eyes, both species experienced a rise in oxytocin, the same hormone responsible for bonding between parents and infants. This does not happen between dogs and strangers. It only appears in that specific soft, unhurried eye contact between a dog and the person he has chosen to attach to, the kind that comes with a slow blink instead of a stare, sometimes nicknamed a dog kiss by trainers who study it. If your dog holds your gaze and softens his eyes rather than looking away, his brain and yours are quite literally running the same chemical loop that bonds a parent to a child. This is where the story stops staying quiet and starts moving faster, because once you know what to look for, you start noticing how many of these small, rare signals have been happening around you the entire time without a name. There is the dog who follows you specifically from room to room, not because he needs anything, but because you function as what behaviorists call a secure base, the fixed point his whole sense of safety orbits around. Other people in the house can come and go, offer treats, initiate play, and he still tracks you specifically, checking in from the doorway even mid-nap in another room. This is not clinginess in the way people often dismiss it. It is closer to what attachment researchers observe in children who have formed a primary bond, where one particular person becomes the reference point everything else in the environment gets measured against. There is the dog who brings you an object, not to start a game, but simply to place it near you and walk away, a behavior far closer to offering something than asking for play, something closer to a gift than a request. Trainers who study this distinction point to the body language that separates the two almost instantly. A dog inviting play holds his body low, tail high, eyes bright with anticipation, waiting for a response. A dog offering something out of attachment drops the object and disengages, no crouch, no bounce, sometimes not even eye contact, as if the act of bringing it to you was the entire point. There is the dog who yawns within seconds of watching you yawn, and this one surprised researchers the most. A study on contagious yawning in dogs found they were significantly more likely to yawn after watching their own owner yawn than after watching a stranger, a pattern closely tied, in every other species where it has been studied, to empathy and emotional connection rather than simple imitation. Here is a pattern interrupt worth sitting with for a moment. Every one of these behaviors is small enough that an owner could watch it happen 100 times and never once think, "This is my dog telling me something." That is exactly why they matter more than the obvious ones. Loud excitement is easy to perform. Quiet trust is not. There is the dog who exposes his belly specifically around you, not as a submission display to a stranger, but as an act of vulnerability reserved for whoever he trusts enough to be defenseless in front of. A posture that leaves his throat and chest fully open in a way no cautious animal would risk without good reason. There is the dog who rests his head against you with real weight behind it, not perched lightly the way he might on furniture, but heavy, deliberate, the same physical trust as the lean, expressed a different way. There is the dog who checks back over his shoulder while exploring somewhere new, not out of fear, but to confirm you are still part of the picture, a behavior almost identical to what researchers observe in securely attached children glancing back at a parent during independent play. And there is the behavior most owners misread completely, the dog who positions himself between you and an unfamiliar sound or person, not barking, not aggressive, simply present, angled slightly forward, choosing proximity to the perceived risk instead of retreating from it. This is not a trained guarding behavior, it shows up in dogs who have never been taught to do anything like it, and it reveals something owners rarely consider, that somewhere in his instincts, your safety has become worth positioning his own body around. Translate all of this into what it actually means, because information alone was never the real point here. Every one of these behaviors, the sigh, the lean, the soft gaze, the yawn, the belly exposed, the glance back over the shoulder, is your dog's nervous system making the same quiet decision over and over. You are the place where vigilance can stop. You are the person his body has chosen to stop protecting itself around, which, if you think about what that actually costs an animal built by evolution to stay alert, might be the closest thing to love a species without words can offer. This is the part that finally answers the question sitting underneath the title of this video, from the very first second. The dramatic behaviors, the tail wags, the excited greetings, are real, but they are shared with almost anyone who shows up with a leash or a treat. The rare behaviors are different, they are reserved, they only appear around the one person a dog's entire nervous system has quietly decided is safe enough to stop guarding against. That is not affection performed for an audience. That is attachment happening in the only language a dog actually has. So the next time your dog sighs beside you, leans his weight into your leg without being asked, or holds your gaze a little longer than usual, with his eyes soft instead of sharp, you will know exactly what you are witnessing, something most owners walk past every single day without ever realizing they were being told, in the clearest way your dog knows how, that he loves you. If this changed the way you see your own dog, tell me in the comments which one of these you recognized first, because I read every single one and I am genuinely curious how many of you just realized your dog has been saying this the whole time. If this gave you a new way of understanding him, subscribe, because there is a lot more of this kind of story coming, and hit like so more owners who have been missing these quiet signals can finally learn to see them too.